Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you wouldn't mind hitting like, subscribe and press that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look at what's going on today because everything's looking really, really good. In fact, let's pull this up. Let's refresh these pages. We need to refresh these Bitcoin pages so that we can see the real prices of these assets right now. Ethereum is at $3,254. Bitcoin is at $56,678. And Chainlink, which isn't Chainlink right now, is at... Let's pull this up. Let's see what it's at. We're looking at $19.26 there. So we're seeing some really nice prices in the markets this morning. I'm sure we've all woken up with a big smile on our face today. We're seeing all of the top 4 tokens in green right now. Top 7 tokens in green, in fact. We've just seen a sea of green here, with the least performing token being Tron and Reptron, and the best performing tokens being, what have we got here? Dogecoin up 12%. We've got Solana up 10%. Bitcoin up 11% within the last 24 hours. So we're seeing some big movements in the charts today. Very exciting to see these changes within the markets. And I'm sure we'll get some really nice movements throughout the rest of this month, next month as well. In fact, we will take a look at that today. We'll take a look at the typical month for March and see what that has in store for us. But please don't forget, before we get into today's stream, to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We've got a lot to discuss today, so make sure you've got your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, and you're ready for the day. Terry Toucan says, good day, Jess, you crypto gem. Jason Smith says, good evening from Australia. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, lots of exciting stuff to discuss today, and I'm sure we've all got big smiles on our faces. Let's take a look at how this is going right now. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's see what's going on here. First piece of information of the day. Let's take a look at this. I mean, Bitcoin has broken through both levels of resistance that we were discussing in yesterday's stream. We were looking at that level there at $51,750. We were beginning to get that bounce in yesterday's stream, and that bounce has absolutely soared. In fact, Bitcoin is pumping right now on this stream. We've started the stream and it's decided to return to pump. It's got that bullish momentum back in the markets. If you want Bitcoin to continue to the upside, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look at what is going on here. Is everything working properly today? Yes, it is. Perfect. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So we've broken through that level of resistance. If we take a look at the daily chart, we have just shot to the upside right now through those levels of resistance that we were worried about. Now we all know that we've got a level of resistance at $69,000, since that is the all-time high right now for Bitcoin. But what's in store before that? So let's go back to the previous bull market, because that's the only time we've ever been at these price points, and let's see what levels of resistance were there. Now, in fact, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to delete all of these lines and start again today. So what we can see is we have some significant levels of resistance that run throughout this phase here. So I definitely say this is a level of resistance. You can see resistance here, and then through here we used it as a resistance and a support and a resistance there. So $58,000, definitely a level to be keeping an eye on. If we go a little bit higher, we can see that this zone is also important, $60,000. We have some levels of resistance here in the past and levels of support and resistance on the second leg up in the last bull market. Now, Obviously, we need to be counting this as a level of resistance. This is what the high we saw back in April 2021 at $63,600, used again as a level of resistance and support on that second leg up. So definitely something to be keeping an eye on here, but really bullish price predictions here. We do need to remember that we do have that all-time high at $69,000. I think that is a massive, massive mental block that we will hit at some point in time. I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing to get above that. If we rewind all the way back to what happened when we were breaking through $20,000 for the first time, if we take a look at this point here, you can see it took us a while actually to break through that point once we'd approached it. We first started to approach it in November 2020, and it actually did take 22 days of attacking that previous all-time high to get through that point. So maybe that's something we will be seeing again and something we need to be keeping an eye on. We have some significant levels here that could be acting as a significant level of resistance to be aware of, but right now all we need to be doing is celebrating the win. We've broken through the level of resistance. We had a level of resistance here at $53,000, shooting through that right now. If we come back down and use that as a level of support, brilliant, but not all of us is confident that we will get that confirmation bounce and that opportunity to enter the market further. Really interesting to see these kinds of movements here. Jason Smith says, could this be a bull trap? Any chance you could chart it? I mean, potentially. There's always potential for a bull trap there, but what we're looking at with the price of Bitcoin here is we are seeing significant continuous moves to the upside. If we go to what happened at the start of the previous bull market, in fact, let's put the Bitcoin halving events on here. Bitcoin halving events. Here we go. So you can see that prior to the previous bull market, when Bitcoin really started that rally, it didn't have many entry opportunities. Now, obviously, I think a lot of us believe that actually this cycle has shifted slightly to the left, and we have started the bull market earlier than we typically do, because we are seeing such high levels right now. And sometimes we don't always get the big pullback that everybody thinks, especially because we have been around during the bear market. We are pretty used to seeing those pullbacks. We're pretty used to getting those additional buying opportunities. We won't get as many as we are used to now the bull market is here. And that's not me saying it won't come down again. There is a perfect chance that there is an opportunity that could come down again. As I just said, I'd love to see Bitcoin come down and retest that level of $53,000 using it as a level of support. But in a bull market, we don't always get that luxury, and pullbacks are a luxury in a bull market. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Web3 Spud says, good morning. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, James says, hi, Jess, and melting faces. I sent you a melting, it's like a melting face, like, oh my God. Good news, good news. Zerny says hello in the chat today. Let's see what's going on with Ethereum as well, though, because we have seen some changes in the market here as well, looking super bullish. We've seen a nice confirmation bounce. Our levels of support and resistance on Ethereum have been significant on the price chart here. We did come down and retest that level at $3,035, and we are now on a nice rally to the upside. If we take a look at the daily chart and see if we have any significant levels of resistance here from the previous bull market, we do have a few to keep an eye on. Definitely this one here from $3,550. We do also have a significant one here at $4,020, and we can just run across all of these highs that we saw in the previous bull market. Definitely levels of resistance to be watching out for, but right now Ethereum is absolutely soaring along with Bitcoin. Bitcoin price has just hit $57,000 right now for the first time this year, first time in the last couple of years. Very nice to see this. Let's see what's going on. James says, Jess, you have gone silent. Hopefully everything's working as it should. It should be working as it's meant to. Can you please let me know in the chat if things are not working? I don't know. I don't know if it is me, if it's you. If it's me, please let me know in the chat. If everything's fine, then perfect. Let's see what's going on with the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, though, because we've seen a little bit of reversal here. So for this chart, if it's moving to the upside, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And if it's moving to the downside, Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. Bitcoin has been majorly outperforming Ethereum during that bear market as expected. But we have started to see what could be a bottom for this chart. And we could start to see some nice movements to the upside. This chart is super volatile right now. We are a couple of months away from the Bitcoin halving, where typically some altcoins and Ethereum gain some of the market share from Bitcoin, and we see Bitcoin drop in dominance slightly. But right now, Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum on this leg to the upside. As I say, pretty common. What we typically see during a pump is Bitcoin is performing the best, and then when Bitcoin starts to slow down, those high cap coins in Ethereum kind of chase and catch up. So that's what I'm anticipating to be happening here. Hopefully that is the case, but I do have some concerns and questions around this in the long term. So we've all been saying, look, Bitcoin is going to have this ETF. We're going to have a huge amount of inflows and lots of excitement around Bitcoin. But what does this mean for the rest of the cryptocurrency markets? Because historically, we've seen Bitcoin perform well, then high caps perform well, then mid caps perform well, and low caps perform well. Now, if the Ethereum ETFs do not launch in May, what we could see this cycle is Bitcoin managing to hold on to a higher percentage of its of the dominance of the markets than we have done in previous cycles, because Bitcoin does not have that barrier to entry anymore that the rest of the cryptocurrency markets do. So for altcoins and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies to outperform Bitcoin, when Bitcoin has that easy access and institutional investment, a huge amount of money needs to be flowing into the altcoin and cryptocurrency space. Now, I do think the Bitcoin ETFs can fuel more money inflowing into the crypto space, but I'm just questioning over the ratios there and how much Ethereum and other altcoins can outperform Bitcoin, considering Bitcoin has those ETFs that give it easy access, give it institutional investors, and get retail investors involved in the asset. So I'm questioning those ratios there and looking at the risk reward for the different tokens. Let's see what's going on in the chat. The Foggy82 says no real Bitcoin pullbacks since the ETFs. We have seen a 22% pullback since the ETFs went live, so we do need to be aware. I think it's pretty naive to say that we will not see a pullback now the ETFs have gone live. Yes, we are in a super bullish mentality right now, but Bitcoin does see 20-30% pullbacks in a bull market. We need to be prepared for them. We cannot rule them out the question. If Bitcoin just moves up in a straight line, if we got to $100,000 on this one-way trajectory, I will be petrified. I will be petrified, because then what do we have as support? What happens when we do start to pull back? We need to be cautious here. Obviously, it's brilliant to see this bullish momentum, but we don't want to get stuck in an up-only mentality, because that's when things can get wrong and our portfolios can get hurt. So do be careful in these markets. Bitcoin is super volatile. These ETFs do not change that. Obviously, we're being volatile to the upside right now with Bitcoin up at $57,130. But we do need to be aware, look, pullbacks are still possible. We are not immune to them. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Randy says, you're good, fine on my end. Perfect. All seems to be running fine with these. PG says, all good, Jess. Are these people buying the Bitcoin ETF? Do you think they are buying for long term? I do believe so, yes. I believe that we are seeing these inflows here and they are looking for a long-term investment there. Obviously, there will be a mixed bag, essentially. But right now, it's looking bullish for the long term here. PG says, have you or do you personally know any UK people who have managed to buy into ETFs? How did they do it? Yeah, I've not personally, but I've looked through a couple of my stocks and shares ISAs, and you are able to just invest in these ETFs pretty simply like you can any other ETF, any other stock. I personally have stocks and shares ISA where you can deposit and invest in these assets. I think that there's some questions over whether it's worth investing into ETFs. I think you could use it to kind of reduce your taxes in a way, if you've got ISAs or other things. You can also use it as a tool to kind of remove the self-custody aspect from Bitcoin if you want that. Now, we all say not your keys, not your crypto, and I do still stand by that. I think that's 100% true. I think that you want to be your own bank. You want to have self-custody most of the time, but sometimes it does bring me a little bit of fear that we are really in charge of our own assets here, and sometimes I would like to hand that responsibility over to someone else. Maybe we shouldn't be saying this. Maybe we shouldn't be recommending this. Centralized exchanges, I don't really trust. We've seen FTX. We've seen other exchanges have questions and unanswered questions around their backing when it comes to their reserves. So I don't 100% trust centralized exchanges. I would much rather trust a ETF issuer like BlackRock and Fidelity, but for me, the best scenario is self-custody. So I'm staying away from those ETFs, but I do see the benefits from them when it comes to tax and maybe just not wanting to have complete control over our funds if we are a little bit fearful of that. Let's see what's going on here. Rob says, what about MicroStrategy? Would you buy any of their stock as an ISA? I don't personally really invest too much in cryptocurrency related stocks, more investing in Bitcoin. There are definitely benefits to investing in cryptocurrency related stocks. MicroStrategy is super interesting because obviously they are just accumulating Bitcoin left, right, and center. In fact, we've got some articles on that today and we can just skip right through to that today. So MicroStrategy goes Bitcoin shopping again with $155 million purchase. They've acquired an aggregate purchase price of roughly $6.09 billion worth of Bitcoin. And off the back of this, we have seen them get a net profit. They are in significant unrealized profits right now. So we can see here, February 25th, 2024, 2 days ago, MicroStrategy, together with its subsidiaries, held an approximate value of 193,000 Bitcoin, which were acquired at an aggregate purchase price of approximately $6.09 billion and an average purchase price of approximately $31,544. They are up significantly on that. They're up over $25,000 per Bitcoin with 193,000 Bitcoins there. So you can see how much buying power they have there. Michael Saylor has said that he is going to continue to buy the Bitcoin top forever. He has compared Bitcoin to asset classes like gold, S&P 500, real estate, and said, look, I'm not selling my Bitcoin because what am I going to put it into? Bitcoin is the superior asset. He was on CNBC, I believe, last week saying these things. I'm not sure where he said them, but he said them last week. Saying, look, I'm buying Bitcoin. I'm going to continue to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up. I will buy more. What am I going to sell into? It is the superior asset. So he's really been super bullish on this, pushing that kind of narrative out to the world so people can see the potential in Bitcoin a little bit more. We did also see MicroStrategy's Twitter account getting hacked and the hacker posting that they were launching a token a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. So around $440,000 worth of cryptocurrency was scammed from this because people were trying to buy into that asset before MicroStrategy could get back hold of their Twitter account. So unfortunate news there. But let's move on from MicroStrategy now. I don't think I even really answered that question that well. So let's get back to that question there. What about MicroStrategy? Would you buy any of their stock as an ISA? I think there's a huge amount of potential in cryptocurrency-related stocks, specifically during the bear market. I really focused on the fact that we typically see Bitcoin, Ethereum, high-cap coins, low-cap coins, and then small-cap coins performing best as it goes on, and the narrative's kind of changing in that order. But one thing that I will definitely be taking a note of moving forward, if we do get the big 4-year cycles that we're predicting, and we do see those that bear market hit once again, is prior to Bitcoin really seeing that surge to the upside, a lot of the many of the crypto related stocks really saw that surge. So what I'd be interested in is adding that to kind of my list of flows for my portfolio. So instead of just investing in Bitcoin during the bear market and then moving over to Ethereum, high cap coins, and then moving over to mid cap coins and then low cap coins, I'd love to put some crypto related stocks in there first and accumulate some of those during the bear market. Now, there are some more risks, I personally believe, attached to some of these crypto related stocks, because not only is their volatility dependent on the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, when Bitcoin goes up, typically Bitcoin related stocks go up, and when Bitcoin goes down, typically Bitcoin related stocks go down, but they also have some external factors to consider. Now, I'm not a stock expert. I understand how some of these companies operate, specifically like mining companies, exchanges. I understand how they operate. I understand how they can generate their profits and all of that kind of stuff, but there's lots of extra factors to consider when choosing which mining company to invest into, which MicroStrategy should you invest in that. There's lots of extra factors that you need to consider. A lot of these projects were actually outperforming Bitcoin during that first rally in the market because During a bear market, I believe you are taking on more risk by investing in mining companies and by investing in cryptocurrency related stocks, because you're not only depending on the price of Bitcoin to go up, but you're hoping that those companies will manage to stick out the bear market long enough and have the funds to last out the bear market before Bitcoin goes up. Bitcoin does not have a timer on it that says, look, if we're not up 10% in a year, it's gonna fail. But companies do have that kind of thing. They can't just operate in a loss forever. So they've got a timer on, and if that timer hits 0, they're out. Bitcoin does not have that. Bitcoin could just go sideways for like 10 years and then just pop off again if it wanted to. So I believe that investing in crypto related stocks sometimes does add additional risk, and therefore is something that I tend to stay away from, because cryptocurrency is risky enough. It's volatile enough. So I've chose not really to invest in cryptocurrency related stocks up to this point. But now I am starting to consider maybe that this is an option. There are definitely some brilliant stocks out there that can perform very well. But doing that extra research and understanding those extra opportunities in the market is something you need to be spending a lot of time on. As I said, I'm not a stock expert, so nothing is financial advice. Just do your own research as much as possible. And see what theories you can come up with. As always, I'm always trying to grow my Bitcoin portfolio, so I'm looking at whether other stocks or cryptocurrencies are going to outperform Bitcoin. If they're not, then not too interested in that, but it depends what your goals are with your own portfolio there. Let's see what else is going on in the markets though. So we've got fear and greed index at 79, all at a high that we haven't seen back since the 13th of February. So in the last 2 weeks, it's come down again, but we have moved that back to the upside there. We've got 54 days until the Bitcoin halving. And we have seen a huge amount of traders liquidated. We were saying in yesterday's stream, there is a massive magnet to the upside, and we would be surprised if we did not hit it. We have absolutely hit it, and we have absolutely continued that rally right to the upside. And off the back of that, we've seen $160 million worth of positions liquidated as Bitcoin breaches $57,000. Before we get into this article, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got 12 likes on today's stream right now. Let's try and get to 25 before we close off today's stream. The Foggy82 says watching live for a change. Thank you very much for joining us. What else have we got here? 57k whoop says Rob. Terry Toucan says, look at BlackRock's ETF. Yeah, huge opportunities here in the markets right now. Let's see what else is going on here. So $160 million worth of positions were liquidated. Bears were getting liquidated as Bitcoin rallied to the upside there. We did see that with the liquidation heat map yesterday, that there was a huge amount of liquidations at that point and a huge magnet for Bitcoin to reach. It did reach that, liquidate those traders, and now we are all feeling super bullish, including Peter Brand, who has predicted that Bitcoin could reach as high as $200,000 by the end of this year. So this is a similar prediction as Starter Chartered have said. So the veteran trader Peter Brandt has raised his Bitcoin price target for the bull market to $200,000 following the upswing in price early Tuesday. So we've seen Bitcoin rally significantly to the upside, reclaiming a 26-month high. And now he has posted with the thrust above the upper boundary of the 15-month channel. The target for the current bull market cycle, scheduled to end in August-September 2025, is being raised from $120,000 to $200,000 there. So not by 2025, by the end of 2025. Okay, so that's the price target that he's looking at here. A veteran trader and Factory LLC CEO added that the prediction remains valid, except Bitcoin's price closes below the past week's low of 50,500. A close below last week's low will nullify this interpretation, but right now it's looking good. It's looking unlikely there. Though not guaranteed, it's worth noting that brand new price Bitcoin target aligns with Starter Chartered's prediction in January 2024 that Bitcoin could trade close to $200,000 towards the end of 2025 amid inflows from Bitcoin ETFs. So some analysts are kind of, their visions are aligning here for what could be with Bitcoin in the next couple of years. Super exciting stuff right now. I'm sure we'd all love to see Bitcoin at $200,000. PG says in the chat, what's the highest you have ever seen Fear and Greed Index go to? At what level would you maybe take a bit off the table? I mean, we can't just go off one indicator to make a conclusion. I would 100% say, like, we need to be looking at the past data and seeing if there is any correlations there. We have seen the Fear and Greed Index hit super high figures back in 2021. So in 2021, it was getting as high as 94, 95. And that was at the peak of the bull market there, continuously high. We didn't see it hit these levels again in the April-May time. In April-May, when we saw that second pump, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this chart. So we saw the initial pump in April-May, and then we saw the second pump in November 2021. And you can see here the April-May 2021. Let's find it. April-May, where are we getting to? Here we go. April-May. We were looking at around 65 at the time of that initial pump, and then getting as high as 84 on that second pump, but it was not as high as that first rally there. So we do need to be cautious that this is in like a more of a higher time frame indicator. It definitely does indicate that, look, maybe we are due a cool off period at some point in time. But I just want to enjoy today's rally. I don't want to think about it too much yet. Let's see what's going on here. David Jr. says, what's up, Jess? Sarasota? Sorry, I don't know if I said that right. So Bitcoin Gold Rush. We are seeing the ratio between Bitcoin ETF investment and gold ETF investment changing significantly, which is really nice to see. Let's take a look at what's going on in the crypto news though, because we've got a few articles to run through here today. So we are looking at a $200,000 price prediction for the Bitcoin bull market from both Standard Chartered and Peter Brantner. Let me know your Bitcoin top price predictions in the live chat today. I'm really interested to hear what we all think for the markets and what's happening here. Other news, which is obviously very, very bullish here, is Bitcoin ETFs are seeing the volume surging while GBTC outflows are decreasing. That's what we like to hear. So big movements there, and exactly what we wanted to see here. We did not want to see the ETFs be some sort of bubble where for the first couple of days they just soared and then it just all fell off a cliff. Instead, we are seeing volume surging, so people trading these assets on a daily basis, and we are seeing GBTC outflows decreasing, which is exactly what we expected because they do not have an infinite supply of Bitcoin. So we knew that this was going to hit an article at some point, and we're happy to see that those outflows are decreasing and we're seeing less selling pressure there. Let's see what's going on here. Rob says, Jess, has your year-end prediction changed of $88,000 Bitcoin? Seems on a mission to hit new all-time high before halving. I didn't have an end-of-year price prediction of $88,000. We did speak about an article once where we were seeing analysts say $88,000 is possible. If we take a look at what's happening here on the markets, I think you're referring to how I was judging the time frame. So if we pull up in fact, we're going to delete all these. Actually, let's go on to a new chart. No, we're going to delete all these lines. We're going to delete all of these lines. So if we go to the Bitcoin halving indicator and pull this back up, Bitcoin halving. So if we take a look at what's going on with the Bitcoin halving events, you can see we obviously have one in April 2024. We were expecting that Bitcoin would not reach these levels pre-halving, and that Bitcoin would probably reach its all-time high a couple of months after being live. So we can see for the previous cycle, for example, we had $20,000. We did not hit that high and make a new all-time high until 224 days later. If we were to project that onto what would happen here and go 224 days from here, that would suggest we will not reach a new all-time high until end of November, start of December, and that would indicate that we are around that $70,000 plus range at the end of the year. But what we're seeing here is Bitcoin is already at $57,000. So are all of these figures invalidated? Well, if we hit a new all-time high before mid-April, then Somewhat yes. What we're seeing here is pre-halving, Bitcoin has pumped significantly. Now, if we take a look at the gain Bitcoin makes, if we go to BTC USD here, if we take a look at the gain Bitcoin makes pre-halving, it's not typically this significant. So if you see this second halving here, the all-time high at this point was at $1,170. Now, pre-halving, Bitcoin managed to reach about 33% below that. Now, if we do the same again here, you can see the all-time high was at $20,000. Bitcoin managed to reach about 30% below that after the peak bear market. Now, if we take a look at what's happening here, we are only around 17% below the all-time high right now. So that is a significant difference from the 30% that we've seen in previous cycles. We are definitely on a more bullish trajectory than we have seen in previous cycles so far. So very interesting to see how this plays out. I think we'll have a lot more information by the time the Bitcoin halving arrives of what we should project for the end of the year. I personally don't go off price predictions. I go off the market cycles and time frames. But right now, Bitcoin's making it hard to do that because it's breaking all the time frames and mooning higher than we expected, sooner than we expected. I was expecting to see this price this year, but just not this quickly. So we're seeing Bitcoin move very, very fast. Different trends actually breaking. So we need to be keeping an eye on those trends and just working with the data as we get it, but very significant movements here. I think we're just about getting enough data about these ETFs to start using that data for the good. I think when the ETFs first went live, we didn't want to go, ETFs are live, it's been bullish for a week, so it's going to continue to be bullish. We need to kind of see how it plays out for a couple of months, gather the data and understand how this is going to impact the markets for the long term. So when that April hits and we get that Bitcoin halving, then we'll have much better understanding of what's going on here. But let's carry on with the next piece of news here and see what else is going on. So Bitcoin ETFs are seeing volume surge. We are seeing Bitcoin break $53,000, rekindling bull run hype before halving. We've got Riot Platforms outline potential risks to Bitcoin mining industry. So let's talk about this. So we've been super bullish on those articles, but we do have some concerns that we need to be addressing here. Before we do, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. What we've got here is Riot's Platforms outlines potential risks for the Bitcoin mining industry. The Bitcoin halving could be threatened by what's to come here. So in its annual report, Riot Platforms expressed concern about the effects of an ongoing chip shortage, the perpetual need to increase the hash rate, and a growing pro-climate agenda in the US on its balance sheet. So breaking that all down, first of all, what we are seeing is the Bitcoin halving, which reduces the amount of Bitcoin rewarded to miners. Instead of it being 6.25, it's going to be 3.125 come April, and 210,000 blocks later in approximately 4 more years, that's going to be halved again. So with that shortage, what we see is the competitiveness of Bitcoin mining somewhat increased, because what the miners are trying to do is mine as much Bitcoin as possible while the rates of rewards are higher. Now, when the competitiveness to mine Bitcoin increases, that's the hash rate increasing. Now, imagine when Bitcoin was first created, people were mining Bitcoin on their computers, on their laptops, on their phones, in fact. But as the competitiveness has increased, the computers needed to mine Bitcoin at a probable rate has increased as well. So that's why we need these really complex mining rigs in these massive warehouses with all these electricity getting pumped into it. The hardware to mine Bitcoin there's a barrier to entry for Bitcoin mining now that didn't exist previously, because the amount of competition in the market has increased. And as that increases, the hash rate's increasing, and then the barrier to entry is just getting higher and higher and higher. So that's a massive problem. We are seeing ongoing chip shortages as well. That's causing problems there. And we are seeing a pro-climate agenda in the US. We've seen some investigations underway to understand where Bitcoin miners are getting their energy from. We did hit 50% renewable energy just a couple of weeks ago. We are around that level right now. We do want to see renewable energy be used to mine Bitcoin. We don't want to be negatively impacting the planet, but we are seeing this information be used against Bitcoin a lot of the time. I for one, have had a lot of people say, I don't like Bitcoin because it's bad for the environment. And I sometimes I think it may be a cop-out answer to just not understand and not take time to educate yourself about the industry. But I understand the rationale behind it, but I think it is something we can change over time. We are starting to use more renewable energy when it comes to Bitcoin mining, and at the end of the day, all these mining companies is to find cheap renewable energy so they can run all of these mining rigs, because it gets very, very expensive. But anyway, we are seeing concerns here around the future of Bitcoin mining industry, and what's to come from this. Now, I would like to say that when I see these articles, I do not get scared. I do not get fearful. Right now, we have a couple of really, really big mining companies that dominate the space and put a huge amount of the energy that Bitcoin needs. That they have super high hash rates. They put a huge amount of energy onto Bitcoin, and this somewhat decentralizes Bitcoin in a sense, because we have a couple of companies that have a significant amount of power over the network. They don't have 51%, but they have a significant amount of power. So if these mining companies were to kind of see some issues and see their performance decrease slightly, what we could see is that barrier for entry come down, and therefore we could see a little bit more decentralization. Definitely not a bad thing. This is like when we saw in China, they banned Bitcoin mining, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But it wasn't, because we saw Bitcoin become more decentralized. So definitely something to be just keeping an eye on. I don't personally feel too fearful when I hear these stories, but definitely something to be aware of, especially if you're looking to invest in crypto related stocks as well. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. What percentage of Bitcoin is now in the ETFs? At this rate, it's going to far exceed other Bitcoin holdings. Won't that completely change how things have worked previously in crypto to make best profits? I mean, if the Bitcoin ETFs hold a huge amount of the Bitcoin ETF is essentially just the product. It's that sometimes traditional markets can get easily manipulated if there's huge whales in the space. Bitcoin obviously has a lower has historically not been manipulated as much as traditional stocks, but we may see that be put in force. We maybe need to be a little bit more cautious of that in the coming weeks. BetaBot says, I was scared to touch altcoins at first bull run, only did Bitcoin and ETH, now I'm more into certain alts. Very good idea. I think altcoins have a huge opportunity. I am very much scared to touch altcoins at this point in time. I was very diversified in the last bull market, made quite a few mistakes, learned from those mistakes, and now I'm trying to become somewhere more in the middle, but it's hard. It's hard. I like holding Bitcoin. I don't like holding anything else. Let's see what else is going on here. Crypto user vanishes after mistakenly receiving 995,000 AUD, almost $1 million Australian dollars. That's around £500,000. Rido Trading, the owner of OTC Pro, is looking to claw back 322,000 USD after a mistake led to an account holder being credited 10 times the amount of crypto he deposited into the account. So imagine that. I mean, we've seen this before. Crypto.com have done this twice, I think, and they ended up in court, ended up getting their money back. The person ended up in here we go. Here it is at the bottom of the article. So Crypto.com made the same mistake. In May 2021, they transferred someone $10.5 million. They took those funds and they ran with it. She claimed that she thought the money was a prize from Crypto.com, with it being then used to buy property and give cash gifts to her relatives. The exchange filed a lawsuit and requested the funds to be frozen, but she had moved the money before the seizure could occur. So we have actually seen stories like this before. But let's continue and let's see what else is going on here in the news. Bitcoin funding rates jumped to 100%, sparking opportunity for savvy traders here. So one observer said that elevated funding rates offer crypto hedge funds exceptionally attractive arbitrage opportunities. We are seeing more bullish indicators arise as time goes on. Bitcoin is looking super healthy right now. We are on a nice trajectory to the upside. I am cautious that maybe we will see some sort of pullback, but I don't know how significant that will be at this point in time. I'm more inclined to say that we may see some sideways action here, but we'll do some Bitcoin analysis in just a second. Let's take a look at this final article. Bitcoin shorts lose $150 million as Bitcoin poised for tremendous upside here. We did see the Bitcoin traders get liquidated. Right now, there isn't a significant point that's too concerning for us to be alarmed about a key liquidation level. If we zoom out a little bit further, you can see that there isn't any significant levels where we'd see huge liquidations. So no huge levels, magnets to be watching out for right now. We are 54 days away from the Bitcoin halving. This fear and greed index up at 79 does make me a little bit cautious, but that is a delayed indicator. The RSI is probably looking overbought, and the MACD is probably looking at bullish momentum right now. They're all our delayed indicators, so we can't expect to get too much information from them right now when Bitcoin is just up on this straight line. But what we can see here is Bitcoin's performing nicely. We do have some levels of resistance to be watching out for that we outlined at the start of today's stream. We are hitting that point where we did see significant levels of resistance in the last cycle, so definitely something to be cautious about. If we do start to see some bearish movements, I'm hoping we do get a confirmation bounce of that $53,100 level, but it's not set in stone. We don't know how likely that is at this point. These Bitcoin ETFs are seeing increased volumes. GBTC is seeing a lack of outflows. So the market is looking really healthy when you look at the actual data, not just at the price chart. So fingers crossed this continues on the bullish trajectory and we all get the profits that we deserve. Now I think that's all we've got for today's stream. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. My camera battery's just died.